Hello, everybody. Good evening. This is Dr. Rao. Tonight, we're going to talk about something very addictive to all of us, uh, which is fundamental and surprising. A lot of people don't agree with it, but actually, uh, this is kind of there. Hi there, guys. So it's how we think consistently. Okay, so many of us are kind of think that thinking happens, thinking comes compulsively, but we don't recognize that we feed it again and again. Okay, and we cannot stop the initial one, and then we will go on thinking, especially when we got hurt with somebody, you know, somebody saying something, and we have emotional hurt, and we kind of you know uh, make it more of a um, recurrent habit, and that's why that is very very addictive. We will go into the details of it, and there's a purpose for this, why I'm doing this, because uh, there is whole lot of a life when your thinking is kind of stalled, or you make it quiet. That means you are not going to pursue the thoughts and then allow the thoughts to simmer back, you know. And in that stilling of the thought and the mind, you find the joyous silence that's really filled with joy. And that is really people can enjoy. Suppose they are playing music, or suppose they are doing a job that they really love it, or they just go to a beautiful monument like a you know Niagara Falls or something beautiful, and when you immerse yourself in those kind of natural things, and you will enjoy the moment of silence, right? And if you can stay with it, and then you really discover that silence within you, I think you are very much blessed. But what is happening in modern times, especially in this information age, uh, our running with the thought has become more, and we're losing the uh, blessed silence, blessed blissful nature of our real true nature, right? First of all, understand what I mean by most addictive of the thinking means. You can examine yourself. You will see that the thinking is happening all the time, and we get up in the morning and immediately get down to our devices, or something we think in the mind that I have to do that, so many things on the agenda, and we can continue with it, right? Um, and then you see, I don't have a movement of peace. Um, but in people who become very neurotic because they have been excessively thinking, and the food that they take or the things that they do really make this addiction much worse, and they become neurotic really. But they think that is normal for them, but then to the point where they break down, right? So what I'm talking about is not something that I imagine or anything, but it's a real phenomenon in many people. And understanding that thinking need not be compulsive, need not be unconscious and out of control. Uh, and then after the thought, if you go beyond the thought, there is so much more world that is really beautiful. For being a human being, we are especially endowed with memory, going back and remembering things, and digging up, and that's there. Also, we can think ahead. into the future, what's going to come, what we want to plan, how we can do, and then imaginative, right? It is good to some extent, but when it becomes compulsive, unconscious, that's when it breeds the problem, and the people develop the. One of the things with the mind is it can create itself over and over again. There's a neuroplasticity, we call it. Suppose we have a stroke and we get some deficit, we can regrow the brain around the lesion in the brain. See, some of the part of the brain dies. That is the stroke, right? And because that part dies, whatever that is representing the body parts in our body, that kind of cannot move, cannot sense all that, right? Then by doing the exercises deliberately, passively, and somebody else is helping you to do it, and you can restore that cortical tissue. That is neuroplasticity. That means your brain can be plastic, where you can do the plasticity, you can mold it, you can create new brain. That's the thing. So understand this for what I'm saying. It has basic, fundamental, practical value, where you will say, suppose I'm doing some work. If I have this technique of really thinking intentionally, consciously, and otherwise I'm not really allowing my thinking go all over, and you have discovered a tremendous reservoir of energy, focus, and quality work, and quality relationships, and all that. So there's so much involved in understanding thinking process, and understanding thinking is our process. See, thinking cannot control you if you really understand and make it a slave. So the whole thing, we go back to Rene Descartes, the French philosopher, who said, I think, therefore I am. But then, when you are not thinking, then also you are. That's the ancient observation. That's a fact too, because you don't have to be. Well, simple thing. Suppose you are smiling or you are laughing. At that time, you can notice your mind is stilled. It's not having so many thoughts and all. Suppose somebody says a joke and you are laughing about it. At that time, your mind is kind of still. So that's a good thing. Laughter is a good thing too, because you can stop this unnecessary run of the mind. Okay, thinking is good, but thinking out of control is not. That's all. Okay, you can stay one point and dig it into it, over questioning and all that. That's okay, but it's just a cyclical thought, thinking about the same thing again and again and again. Like one example is, somebody hurt you and they did one time, but then after that, if somebody hit you a slap one time, and remembering reliving it is second time, you are slapping yourself, right? So understand that, and then how to calm down the thought. One thing is, go and breathe deep, and breathing and thinking are connected, same source of energy they come from. So if you take a deep breath, you can notice your rapidity of thought goes down, the number of thoughts that are coming up at the same time goes down, the speed with which thoughts come and travel and go all over, that slows down. So that's why you got to come back to breathing, at least in the morning after you get up, and before you go to sleep at night, and in between, if you can do it. I usually tell my students, when you stop in front of the red light, just do that, and also have a watch alarm every 1 hour. It kind of rings, and then you just keep whatever you are doing down, and then just spend some time. You can do it with the eyes open too. Suppose you are in the meeting, let nobody see you, but then you just all in deep breathing, where you are aware of the deep breathing. Your entire attention is on the breath coming and touching the nose and then going back. So that if you can be that oriented towards, it will do wonderful thing. Especially nowadays with information overload, this is something like a prescription I give to people who are burning out, who are stressed out, who are having frenetic work. They don't have the luxury of doing things slowly, relaxedly. They are under some boss or some foreman or some manager, where they may have deadlines, they may have things that they have to do, and then on top of it, they are doing multitasking, which is a sure way of making people nervous if they are not used to it. Okay, but the neuro eye coordination improves as you practice. Like a baseball player is doing that, and he will be very alert for the ball that's coming, and he immediately leaps and then catches it, right? So all that things are there. You can coordinate your body and mind like that. That's no problem. It is like sitting down and allowing the thoughts to come, and then the more you do that, the more you'll be addicted to it. That's the main point. Okay, you don't want to be in a cyclical thought of the same thought going. Think consciously, think intentionally, think something that you focus on, and then you want to get more out of it. Okay, so those kind of things are very good. Okay, now why this all has come is I found a lot of people with information overload. That means they are studying 10 different things, they are doing 10 different things, they are uh, going to sleep with a lot of thoughts in their mind, and then having a lot of bad dreams, or not able to sleep soundly, and not having enough sleep to regenerate their body and mind, ill health, and all that. Okay, advantage is you can use the it's actually mind and thought is a wonderful power we have that is coming up from within us, but that has to be under our control, at least to some extent. Creative thinking, thinking something deep, that's not questioned. Unnecessary thinking, like I told you about somebody hurting you, somebody saying a nasty thing to you, and you're reliving it. That is the problem. That is a cyclical thought, has no purpose except that it is coming by itself and all that, and you don't break that down. So the best thing what will be, don't cling to it. Don't cling to it, and just pay attention what is happening now. Why I'm thinking about that. Same, the other day my son told me something very simple. He has only one sister, and he came to visit us. So he was telling me, "Oh, we had an argument. We were not talking." When did it happen? A few days ago, he said. Then why are you holding it? In this moment? Is it there? No. Then he went to her, and they became friends again, and they were talking about. So it's like allowing coming back to the present. That is life. The reliving the dead memory is not the life. That's gone. But the real life is what is in front of you. So bringing back to the present moment, make a habit of that. Always ask, am I in the present? What's going on here? And then all your awareness, attention will come to the present moment. That is the life you have at that time. And that's the only life we know. Otherwise, it is in the head, either we are in the back or we're in the front. Okay? Okay. Memory, regretting, and all those things in the past. That's unnecessary absorb vital energy. And you can learn a lesson from the past, but don't go and live it. That's all I'm saying. You can plan for the future, but don't go live in the dreams. Okay? In the present, with the what is happening, if you can be associated with that, that will be wonderful to you. Okay, there are so many advantages of being in the moment. You will focus better, you can enjoy better, right? And the quality of the work definitely goes up. That is something that you can count on. And the more attentive you are, excuse me, the bigger um, space of attention, like the so you will be very attentive to the wind, the heat, the cold, the scenery, the smells, everything. You are alive. That's why when you are not absorbed in your own nonsensical thoughts continuously, there's no meaning for them. They come and go, and the more you encourage, the more it will. The more scattered they are, the more scattered. Okay? See, I can sit here and I can allow my mind to go to a memory I had about my life in back in India when I was there. I can travel to it and live it and come back in a second, right? So that quick, our thinking is mercurial, and that's how we get caught in that. And then very soon we will think, oh, thinking is happening, my thoughts are happening on their own. No, thoughts are happening to you. You are not happening to the thoughts. You mistake that you are happening to the no thoughts not are coming on their own. There will come some kind of how you allowed this thought to take over you. That's what usually happens with people. When I say I'm in awareness, and then I use conscious thought, they cannot really make anything out of it. But the beauty of that is I'm always aware, and I can drive better. I can, really talk to people better. I can listen to my patients better. I can communicate with my family members better because I'm in the moment. I'm aware means I'm in the moment. I'm in the present. So I'm complete attention to you when I'm talking to you. That kind of. And then somebody say, okay, I have to. We're going to tomorrow to my daughter's place in Dubai. And tomorrow is her birthday, so we're going to be there completely with her, focused on her. Give her a good day. Laugh, joke, eat, all those things we will do. And we'll spend the time with her. We won't go and say, okay, we'll take a phone and then do all those things. No, we put off those things for that day. And most of the time we can do, unless we are actively engaged with a lot of responsibility that we cannot save it. Even then you can organize. I did that. I was a corporate head. I had so many people as a group of doctors working with me, and a lot of nurses and a lot of patients and all that. So many insurance companies call, and consultants call, and administration call. So many happens, right? But being in the present, doing one thing at a time, really made me do things better with quality, and they did not leave me exhausted. But if you are doing partly, if you are doing, your uh, concentration is on divided, then it will be very exhausting for you. Okay. Other thing, if you don't pay complete attention to everything that you are doing, you will have bad dreams at night. Krishnamurti taught me this. He said, if you pay complete attention to everything that you are doing and you stay in that all day, at the end of the day, you don't have anything accumulated in your mind. And so mind doesn't have to put itself in order to have the deep sleep. So you have less dream. So obviously we tell rapid eye movement when there's a lot of dreaming going on. Okay, non-rapid eye movement sleep is the deeper sleep, and you'll have a more hours of it under the quality. Of course, this meditation, this understanding the brain activity, understanding going the deep samadhi, all those things add. So I have some of the best sleep even I have couple of hours because understanding all these principles. Nothing miracle. You can do that. Anybody can do that. I have improved quality of sleep for many people because they don't understand what's going on with them daytime, and then they think they can take the medications, but that's a bad thing. Sleep is like a circadian rhythm, like, right? So it is influenced on its own uh, what do you say, physiology of it, right? So you don't want to mess up with those chemicals and nervous system by taking sleeping pills quickly. okay, or alcohol and other hard drinks that influence your reticular activating system, your awakeness, and all that. You don't want to do that. What you want to do that is you want to allow your circadian rhythms function normally during the day, and then when you have to sleep, don't take any aids. Okay, just read something light or some light music or some light stretches, all those things, and then try to put your mind in order and go to sleep, and then you have a very good sleep through the night. And then when you get up in the morning, the responsibility of the body restoration, responsibility of restoration of the mind happens. That's why don't think unnecessarily, don't allow unconscious thought disturb you, and try to be present, try to be thinking in that presence, but with a conscious thought. This is what I do, and I kind of communicate with my friends. I kind of teach people who have problems with the sleep. These days, what's happening is the relaxation that comes with communication with the nature or connecting with the nature is absent. That's why people watch something entertaining, something that keeps their mind going on, and all that. They don't unwind. See, that's why all these things are important. So, thinking in an addictive way. That means addiction means you don't have control. Normally, thinking is good because we see something we like and the dopamine is secreted. That's why we feel very good. So we get addicted to that, and we always want to see the good things. So it's like you posted something on the social media, and somebody likes it, then immediately we feel puffed up, happy, right? But the opposite will happen when you see there's nobody liking you, right? But if you don't have that, then it doesn't matter, right? That part of is okay, but then if it goes to the negative distractions and all that, that's not good. Okay, so understand, thinking can be under our control, thinking can be on our intention, and thinking can be in the direction that we want. And there's another thing I teach people is you can first of all be in charge of the thinking, be aware of what is that negative or positive. If you think this is a negative thought is coming up again and again and again, I want to finish it off, then we teach what's called pratipaksha bhavana in Sanskrit. That is like a reframing the cognitive thought. Okay, and that is really can be very useful. For that, what it is, first of all, you got to be silent, you got to be aware in the present, then watch the thoughts, slow them by deep breathing. Once I slow them, see whether they're negative or positive. It's preferably to not have any thoughts. If you should have thoughts, have them positive. So first, just sitting down, making an effort to determine I'm going to watch these thoughts, I'm going to slow them down, I'm going to identify, I'm going to replace. These are the steps you want to do. Okay, if you can do that every day, then it becomes a good the other way too, like addiction, scattered thought, unfocused thought, or rapid thoughts, all those things are addictions, right? But you can train it such a way that it will be disciplining itself, like, so if you do that, you can do yourself a big favor. One of the secrets of this ever renewing energy is, which I always talk about that, because people kind of spend a lot of energy unnecessarily, or they kind of deplete the energy without them knowing. One of the biggest depleters are the negative thinking or this cyclical thinking. It can rob. Each thought has so much force. It's a wonderful force in us, but we abuse it, right? But force means it can take away your energy too. But if you want to preserve that energy, don't deplete yourself with unnecessary thinking. Okay, so laugh enjoy music, do all things. Those are better than engaging in some. These days, it's practically a lot of people don't even understand what I'm talking about. Even if they understand, they will think, "How do you do that? That's impossible." That it looks like that in the beginning, right? So, if you want to maintain a good energy all the time, especially at the end of the day, you got to learn to not to deplete your energy, not to spend unnecessarily your energy. Then energy will be preserved, and then you can build on that, and then you'll feel much better. You don't get bored, you don't get really spent if you are in the present. I don't get bored. I don't get depleted because live in the present. Simple formula, right? But then we allow the thought to go all over, and then we say, okay, how can I save my energy? You cannot. You don't spend it. Don't deplete it. Okay. So anybody wants to come up? Nobody wants to come up. I don't understand that. But I'm recording it for whoever wants to listen later. Uh, This is a very important subject in this era because of data, because there could be tremendous amount of data. See, I'm revisiting data analysis for my own uh, continuous education. Like a medicine, we do the continuous education, right? Because all the facts change, and we need to keep up with the newer treatments, newer findings, and all that, which is very fascinating. But I'm doing data analysis course now so that I can understand what are the AI, newer things and all that. Okay, the machine learning, the networks, and all those things are structured and non-structured, all those things. It's really fascinating to go through those things. That focus thinking on something that you want to acquire, that's okay. But the the thinking about that subject, asking what did I read, how did I understand, what is that, why is this, all that, those are all constructive. That's okay. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this cyclical, unconscious, compulsive thinking that happens in people, and people think that they cannot do anything about it, or they can take a pill to calm it down, or they can take a peg alcohol. These are all not good for your intellectual. For me, as a yogi, I don't, I can't even smell wine. When I was not this uh, meditative, when I was not this knowing about the intricacies of thinking and all that, when I was practicing medicine and I was invited to many dinners and all that, uh, I used to permit myself a glass of white wine and all that. But then, after I became to be a real serious meditator and understood I don't need to meditate if I stay in myself, then the mind and the brain has become so sensitive, I can't even smell the wine anymore. Okay, I feel dizzy, like, so that's a blessing probably, so anyway, I don't drink anymore. For the last 10 years I have not taken any wine at all. um, so understand what I'm talking about. Thinking is not bad, but unconscious, compulsive, cyclical thinking that we engage in, we allow ourselves to fall into and becomes an addiction. That's very difficult for people to get rid of. Because if you are addicted to something, some of the thing is involved, but then the taste, the experience, all these things involved, right? That's why it becomes such a tempting thing, and people cannot get out of even food eating also, or smoking, or alcohol, or drugs. They have the other problem of their own generation of the chemical complex. After for example, you have taken some queen, obvious, right? But this is more like a feeding by itself, and then you allow it to happen because you are not aware, you are not in the present. You allow yourself to be in the past and stay there and live those thoughts again and again and again. That's how you make it much more addictive, right? So I'm going to tell you, thinking is not the only faculty we have, and thinking is a good thing that you can use it constructively and smartly, and you can get rid of it easily too. Okay. Uh, so much more you can go into, but it is a better thing to have a dialogue about this, because it's not an opinion I'm giving you, but I'm inviting you to observe your own thinking. And maybe you already have the ability to still the thought. Fine. Maybe you have the ability to really not being negative, and the when negative comes, you can change it to positive. Fine. Maybe you have the ability to be aware all the time, which I'm talking about. That's fine too. But if you don't have that, and if you have compulsive thinking, if you have deliberately really uh, allowing this cyclical thinking to get rooted, there is a danger for this, because this was described in the yoga sciences. What they said was, you have what are called thoughts coming up, right? These thoughts change the modulation of your mind, and those things, if you don't resolve, don't really go through it and end it, then it can go into your subconscious. Like, for example, somebody um, scolded you for something that's not your fault. You are like a junior to them, or you are working for them, your boss or whatever, and he just took it out on you, and you felt hurt because your ego felt, why is he saying that to me? Or you are not guilty of that, and you cannot say anything. Then that hurt, the thing is, if you are not aware of the mechanism, it will go into your subconscious and stay there. And later on, it comes out as that cyclical thought attack. That is the cycle we are describing. Conscious thought into subconscious and come back like that. And that is not very good. Okay, that's why yoga really tells you, okay, you have the body, you have thoughts, which you construct as a mind, but actually there is no real mind. But then you kind of say, oh, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, this is how I am, this is how I react, and all. And that becomes like a thought construct, ego personality. And then you identify with that, and then you build something artificial, something not real, as real. And then your real nature is under the thought, you forget about it. What I am saying is, find out that real nature. Go and stay there. That is, if you are in the present all the time, you are aware, that awareness, moment to moment, that is you. You having conscious thought is different. Cyclical, unconscious thought, compulsive, coming and taking over you, as though you are those thoughts, you are those hurts, you are those insults, and all that. That is unnecessary suffering. And depleting a lot of energy. That's why you don't want the suffering, you don't want to deplete your energy, and you want to be focused on what you are doing, you want to get the gist out of it. That's all very good. Okay, this is not woo stuff. This is really important stuff for the people who think that they are all thinking. There's so much more beyond thinking. Think well, think properly, but don't be succumbing to this cyclical thought. Don't be addictive to this way of thinking. That is the problem with a lot of war making too. For example, Eckhart Tolle was talking about this. Eckhart Tolle, the author who wrote the book Now, he was a self-realized man too, as far as I'm concerned. He went beyond the ego, he went beyond the thoughts and all that. And he is the one who also said, Rene Descartes, who said, I think, therefore I am. He should have waited for some more time, and then he should have gone beyond thought and said, I am conscious, therefore I am. That is the even all the ancient systems also talk about. Only the moderns think that they are thinking and nothing but we are. So what is happening with that is, take for example Hitler era. So what he did, he kind of raked up this thought in people, like national, patriotic, or whatever. But then all the directed to certain type of people, and they are not good. They are not human beings enough. They are all those things were there, and so these people built up collective ego against those people and supported the war to go. And in a sense, this is what happens: the warring couple, warring siblings, friends, anybody, and then when it goes to the society level, to the country level, these major wars are happening. So this kind of ego breeding is responsible for 120 million people were killed in the 20th century. That's what Eckhart Tolle said. I agree with him because it is still, that is what is happening. So people breed that egotism. That egotism also revels in patriotism. Right now, if you look at it, we are all one earth, one world, because we do the physical geographical division and then identify with that, then we are fighting each other. So for me, that's all is unnecessary, meaningless too. So I'm a human being, I'm on the earth. Why can't we all be like human beings? It may look simple, but that's an evolved state for a lot of people. But it is a normal state if you are like a, you don't have this built up thought construct uh, images about yourself. Okay, so it's very important. See how thinking can influence us to cause our own problems, and the wars, the money that goes, the people that are killed, unbelievable. It still goes on, even though it's getting worse than before. So this is tragedy. So that's why I think this topic of understanding what is thinking, how we are doing it, and how we can observe it, how we can really complete each thought. Don't pursue each thought also. Just you can do that and then see that it is done. For me, what I say is take the deep breaths, sit down, and close your eyes and watch thoughts as they are coming. Watch, don't indulge or don't suppress them. Let the thought spring up, which is what is going to happen from the subconscious or from the memory or from the stimuli you are having. Then watch the thought come up, travel through like a cloud in the sky, and let it go and end off. That's the natural way it can go. But if you pursue that thought goes to another thought, another thought, another thought. So in the morning, you can say, when you get up, there will be a first thought. Don't pursue that. Don't allow it to go and then build up more networks. Just stay with it, watch it, and then finish it off. The exercise is to assert your inner self, not the thinking process. But if you don't do any of that, you allow the thought to go wherever it wants to go, and all that, you just think like that one thought or other, you are a mess. Okay, thought has taken over you. It has become an addict. It has been, you may be busy, you may be making money, you may be doing some stuff and all that, but when it comes to the test of, can you sit down, can you keep quiet, can you touch that energy behind that thought, then you'll know, yeah, I don't know anything about this, I don't know, it is impossible, they are coming all the time. And that is not good. I will tell you why it is not good. Young people are not taught this calming themselves down, silencing them, especially in the face of challenging situations. Then they go on thinking the same thing. Decades pass, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, like that, right? When they go 60s onwards, they will be not knowing what to do with themselves when they don't have anything else, and they indulge in thoughts or they indulge in reading books or whatever way they want to rake up this thought mechanism, they will do that. Nowadays is much more because the devices, the data, the interruptions and all that is a much worse thing, easier. Now, when it goes to that kind of mechanical mind, which becomes a really stupefied mind, then what happens? that same thing, the dead things will be coming when you don't want it, when you are old enough. I see it with my sister. She is 82-year-old. She cannot stop her thinking because they have used to a mechanism and all that. So I tell her, okay, come and stay in this awareness. It's very difficult for her, and something is going on. She may be there, but otherwise her thoughts is. We see it in the patients, elderly patients. They cannot remember anything that happened today or yesterday, but they will tell you what happened way back in 30s 40s when they were young and all that. And they say when I'm not really doing anything, all these things come and bother. That's why doctors give them sleeping pills or anti-anxiety pills and all this, and they mess up the system much more. That's why I'm trying to help you to understand: be natural, be what you really are, and think naturally, and don't allow it to establish it in yourself as the master. It should be your slave. You can have creative thinking, you can have focused thinking, you can have conscious thinking. What I'm saying is, don't be an unconscious, compulsive, automatic thinking, scattered thinking, and that's not good. Okay. Anybody here that I could talk to? Oh, our Majesty is here. Bush, Dovey, and Warrior, and a lot of people are here. I can go on talking about this topic forever because there are so many facets of this. Because human beings are different from animals mainly because we are beyond the instinctive. We can be consciously in the present, and we can evaluate what happened. We can kind of forecast what may happen, but our ability to be in the present, in the moment, is a very important ability that we should hold God always, right? And then you can be joyful, you can be very happy and blissful, right? All these things happen to people, right? So as I go into the information age, as I see the informational overload, brain fog, insomnia, lack of sleep, and not able to enjoy things, and really making them sick, taking medications, and then making it much worse. All those things are there. There's a lot of mental health problems also because of this, not able to understand what is proper thinking. I call it efficient thinking. So I learned about this in 80s when, you know, I was a regular doctor studying and learning things and then thinking and all that. So I thought deep thinking and staying in one thing and thinking about it is a very good one. But I didn't know about this compulsive, unconscious thinking that we encourage. We kind of nourish it, and yoga and Vedanta, all those philosophies where they talked about silent mind. Can somebody be in that silent mind for long? Is that a waste of time, or is that something very relishing for us? Actually, if you go into the silent of mind and want to receive something new material, it goes much more because you went back to beginner's mind. Remember that, beginner's mind. Okay, so if you can operate with the beginner's mind most of the time, that means you are not approaching something with already preconceived notions, your concepts, your beliefs, your understandings according to limited knowledge, or you don't allow your thinking to do it for itself, and that's where the traditional reputation, all this comes, the bookish knowledge comes and all. Now what we want is, we want the bookish knowledge to point out this experiential knowledge. Once that happens, that is yours, right? So it's a very important topic, very deep, and very much uh, difficult to follow also, and more difficult to experiment in your life, experience in your life. Okay, but I invite you to do simple things. When you get up in the morning, the moment you wake up, you are aware. That is when you say, I woke up, I am awakened, right? At that time, don't allow the agendas, the thinking of what is going to happen, don't let them come. They can wait forever. So from the moment you woke up to the moment the first thought come, if you can delay it as much as possible, that will be a very healthy thing. Okay, it could be just a couple of seconds or a couple of minutes according to the capacity. What you do is you could do something. This is the recommended exercise I tell people, is to ask yourself, am I in touch with the life around me, or am I only in touch with the dead thoughts or not yet born thoughts, that kind of. So either you are in life or in your head. Be in the life. I'm inviting you. Wake up, be aware, be in that awareness by paying attention to the plants, the animals, the people, the weather, all that life around you. Pay attention to that and delay that occurrence of the first thought. I thought, we call it first thought. And then when that comes, and later on, you will be in the presence. And then you can deal with this conscious thought. And then when you go to the work, whatever you do, it doesn't matter which job it is, pay attention to one task at a time. Don't do multitasking, one task at a time. And then after all that work is done, after you come home and you are going to relax and sleep, don't entertain yourself. Unwind yourself before sleep. Shut off all the sources of input and then go. So this is why put the devices to sleep half an hour before you go to sleep and wake them up half an hour after you wake up. That's a simple principle these days. Okay, I talk about this all the time. I wonder anybody does it and then come back and tell me what is the feedback, or they don't need it. Maybe I'm wrong, and then they have doing something well. Main thing is I live in peace, I live in quietness, I live in awareness, and use the thought at my will. Okay, that's why I feel very energetic and blissful, happy, and consciously, efficiently using my thought. Okay, that's not a bigger thing, that's something normal for these times. Fortunately, our ancients had that very much. They didn't have the complication of um, invading information, or we have to do so many things and all that. They were very happy to be themselves, and they were able to really touch their real core, the real nature of themselves. And that is a very, very uh, life-giving energy for you. Okay, if you can do that, it's like a sun shining that is there within us. It's a self-shining nature of ours is abundant. If you can really allow it to come through by removing the wheel of ego and all that, all the thinking, then that inner self-shining, self-luminous, that's the word they use, self-luminous life force, like a sun, it comes out, and that is very nourishing to you and to anybody you touch. Okay, because you don't want anything, you just want to share, you don't want to, but then that energy from within you nurtures you. Okay, so you don't seek anything from outside. So somebody is here. Hi, Jacob. How are you?
Um, you know, I'm alive. Nice to see. Nice to see you, Doctor.
That's good. That's what I'm talking about. Being alive. Being in the present and don't allowing the intruding thoughts. But think consciously. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Tell me how things are going for you.
Um, things were it's up and down so
Mm.
much.
Mm.
And then when I'm in my down state, it's difficult for me to engage in things, but I notice certain patterns. But I
Mm.
also but I also feel like I'm too. I don't know if it's lazy to like sit, identify, and deal with the pattern,
Mm.
or I feel like I lacked a lot of discipline. Number
Yeah.
one, and then there was one last thought. I envision that it's possible
Mm.
to work or to to engage on our highest cognitive priority,
Mm.
but in practice, I notice that I still take paths of avoidance, and I don't know, like maybe it's needed rest, but
Mm.
sometimes I feel like I feel like in the past I have a habit of taking like up to 3 weeks to cognitively transition to something, like mentally preparing myself.
Ah.
Especially if it's like a career change or like I'm moving countries or something.
Mm.
But then like even recently now, it's like there was a slump that I hit, and then I noticed that again it took me like a few weeks to kind of recover from that slump, and I don't even feel like I'm fully recovered from it now.
Mm.
And then last bonus thought, it's like sometimes I feel like I forget.
Okay.
I forget to be grateful. I forget things that I've learned. I forget things that I've trained myself on.
Yeah.
Um,
So
I get
let me
yeah.
be clear on what you are saying to me. Are you saying that you cling to things and you cannot let go?
As I smoke my cigarette,
Mm.
I mean, I want to say yes.
That
It's
is
like
what is happening. The clinging, you know. Uh,
yeah, like I want to do other stuff,
mm.
but instead I smoke and play chess or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, try. You know, chess is a good thing, but it's the exercise in cognition too. Try this. What I am talking in this hour is to not to be in that obsessive, compulsive thought, but to be here and now in life. Either you are in the present or you are in the head. It seems like you are mostly in the head, and that's why it's bothering you. At the time, ask this question: what is happening in the present here and now? Am I cognizant of that? Am I paying attention to that? And see what happens.
But then that sometimes still leads me to some sort of phenomenological urge.
And then you are going into the head again. But for example, in this moment, can you notice that music? Can you notice what I'm talking about, or my silence? And you are in touch with that noise, and so my silence. If you can be in touch with that without any explanation, then you are coming into the mold of the presence. So that's why I said, I don't know you when you came in, but then I was talking about a routine. I told people maybe they can try because this works for me. I get up in the morning, right, Jacob? Open the eyes, immediately I am aware. I don't allow the intruding thoughts to come right away because I like to be in that presence for a while. And one thing I don't pick up is I don't pick up the devices, right? Don't want to get into that what I call I thought, that one thought, and that is the one which springs up and brings our network of thought, and then we get lost in that network. Don't do that. What you do want to do is you want to establish yourself in that presence, and from that presence you want to operate for everything. So as you learn to that, and then the deep breathing actually helps you to slow down the thought and all that, and to be here and now. Either you are in the present in life, or you are in the head as things happen, or things are going to happen. Mind goes that way, this way, all over the place, and all that. And then during the day, ask yourself, am I really completely paying attention to whatever I'm doing? Am I doing one task completely or not? It won't do it right away, but to get out of these addictive habits of the thinking, it takes some time. And then at the end of the day, you got to purgate your mind from all the reactions that you have accumulated. That's why I call that review of reactions before you go to bed. Don't watch TV, don't do all those streaming thoughts and all that. What you do is you just allow yourself to be reviewing whatever happened during the day, whatever emotional reactions you are still retaining. For example, you are angry with somebody or you are happy with somebody, forget them, unwind them. Like you unwind the body is very simple, but unwind the mind, people don't know how to do, and they don't do it also. And then it's so electrical, so they'll be reading or something, they'll be watching the movie, and then late night drinks, they mess it up, the system. And then they get up in the morning again, immediately they catch up the device. So this neurotic behavior, continuous feedback of this stimuli, and thinking allows the thinking to be neurotic. Neurotic is the same thing, we think again and again without any result. So this routine of staying in the present from the morning till evening, if you can practice as much as possible. I used to do this very simply. I used to keep a picture of AIP. That's a question: am I in the present? AIP. The moment I saw this, all these things that I learned came through, and that slowly it became established because I understood the virtue of being in the awareness, moment to moment awareness, and using thought consciously in an efficient way. Okay, that's what I was talking about all the time. I think I would recommend go and listen to this talk from the beginning, Jacob. You may get more out of it. Okay. Okay. All right. It's my time for go to the dinner. People are calling me. Thank you all, and I will thank you, Jacob, and I will see you again tomorrow. Okay.
Enjoy your dinner. Have a good night.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Okay.